أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فالله هو الولي. Please recite as-salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Respected listeners, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to start with a question. Do you know why did Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrifice his life? For what did he sacrifice his life and the life of his loved ones and his children and his family members and his companions? Everything he had, he sacrificed for something. And when I ask you this question, it reminds me of a video I watched. Please recite the salawat. So several years ago, I watched a video of Ashura procession in one of the European cities. And the brother who had recorded that video also asked a question from different participants of the procession. And he asked several questions, and one of the questions was, in your point of view, why did Imam Hussein sacrifice his life? And I remember very well that one participant said, Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrificed his life for democracy. And democracy can be good in its purest form. It can be a good system, not the perfect system, but good system. But did Imam Hussein sacrifice his life for democracy? We from time to time hear that Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrificed his life for human rights, freedom, equality, and all those catchy phrases and expressions, the marketable things that we tend to tell people that Imam Hussein sacrificed his life for. Please bear with me. You might wonder where I'm heading to. Ashura, sacrifice, calamity on day of Eid. But I'm going to make a very important point. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, did he sacrifice his life for the sake of Islam? We quite often hear that. Some people say that the Imam sacrificed his life for salah, obligatory prayers. Is that so? Not at all. People were saying prayers in that society, in the Muslim world. For Sawm? For fasting? Not at all. People used to fast. For Hajj? No. People were busy doing Hajj when the Imam left Mecca. Or maybe he gave his life so that Muslim women would start wearing hijab. No, they were already doing that. Islam was a ra'ij in that society, in the Muslim world. It was their rawaj, custom, but without soul. Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave his life for the soul of Islam, not for Islam as we understand it. Because the soul of everything is the reality of that thing. And what is the soul of Islam? Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrificed his life for the soul of Islam, and the soul of Islam is Man kuntu mawlahu fahada aliyun mawlah. And it is not only Imam Hussein alayhi salam, starting from Our Lady, the first martyr. She sacrificed her life for the sake of the message of Ghadeer. Then Hassan, then Hussein, then Sajjad, then Baqir, all the way up to the 11th Imam, each and every one of them sacrificed their lives for the sake of the message of Ghadeer. This is how important Ghadeer is, that Hussein sacrifices himself for it. So important, which we tend to take for granted. Each year we listen to majlises, poetry, Man kuntu maulahu, man kuntu maulahu, Father Ali Maulahu. What does it mean? What does it entail? What is Maula? What is Wilaya? What does Wali mean? So these are several questions. This is a broad and deep topic. So what I'm going to do during the next 35 minutes or so today is the following. First of all, what does Maula mean? What does Wilaya mean? A brief discussion, but very important discussion, inshallah, first of all. And after that, I'll take a look at the sermon of Ghadeer and the Ghadeer itself, what happened there, some aspects of it. And then in the last part, very briefly and quickly, what does it entail to believe in the message of Ghadeer and celebrate Ghadeer, inshallah, and then a brief one. But before I proceed, from the bottom of your heart, please recite a beautiful, synchronized, and loud salawat. So, Wali, Maula, Wilaya, these are all related words. All related words. I would appreciate it if we could have some silence because I really need to concentrate. Thank you. Please recite the salawat. Please shut the door, please. Thank you. So, Wali, Maula, Wilaya, Tawalli or Tawalla, all related words. So, what is a Maula? Maula is the one who has a Wilaya. In other words, Maula is the one who is a Wali. Now, in the Ghadeer, the Holy Prophet ﷺ announced that whomsoever takes me as his Wali or Maula, this Ali is also his Maula. Right? As if Wilaya was his personal property. What right, please bear with me, what right does the Holy Prophet have to announce, I am your Wali, and after me he is your Wali, I'm transferring this Walaya, this position, this guardianship, this authority to Ali. Does the Holy Prophet have that right? Is the Holy Prophet Wali himself, independently? Is he? Well, it turns out that if you look into the Quran, it turns out that no one is Wali other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says it explicitly. And I recited a part of verse number 9 of Surah Ash-Shura in the opening sermon, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاللَّهُ هُوَ الْوَلِي. فَاللَّهُ هُوَ الْوَلِي. Very strong Arabic phrase. Kalimatu hasr. Ring-fenced. It means no one is Wali other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَاللَّهُ هُوَ الْوَلِي. Okay. If only he is the Wali, then what about the Holy Prophet? What about the A'immah? What about the Amir al-Mu'mineen? What about the other verses of the Quran that talk about the Wilayah of the Holy Prophet and the Ulul Amr? So in order to understand that, we have to understand what is God. And no one can understand what God is, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. A slightly academic and theological discussion that I have taken the liberty to start, and pay good attention. Inshallah, you are going to enjoy, and your heart that are filled with the love of the Ahlul Bayt are going to really enjoy. So God is the unlimited entity who has the absolute control over everything and the absolute authority over everything. Absolute authority over the entire existence. And only that entity has the right to give orders, any sort of order. In al-hukmu illa lillah, verse of the Quran in Surah Yusuf. In al-hukmu illa lillah. Indeed, no one has the right to give any order, any authority, any rule except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, no one. No one. And the Khawarij abused this verse and misused this verse. They said, in al-hukmu illa lillah, la laka ya Ali. Only Allah has the right to give order, not you, O Ali. And their slogan was, la hukma illa lillah. And the Amir al-Mu'mineen said, kalimatu haq yuradu bihal batil. This is a haq phrase, truth, but they use it, abuse it and misuse it for batil. Now he says, no one has the right to give order. And only he is the wali, only he has the authority. Now there is a big problem. The big problem is that he cannot exercise his authority himself by being a person. This is a big problem and this is a beautiful thing as well. What we find problematic, which mushrik people find problematic, because mushrik people want to touch God. The idolaters want to touch God. We don't want to touch God. We submit that God is unlimited, God is beautiful, God is powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent, but can never be touched. Intangible God that no one can understand, but he has to exercise his authority. He has to exercise his power. He has to establish his will, his hukum, his order, his sharia. How to do that? How to do that? So he says, and he doesn't say in the Quran, but I paraphrase. He creates certain individuals who reflect his attributes. You and I cannot be that person. He creates certain individuals who reflect his ilm, his qudra, his knowledge, his power, his rahmah, his kun fayakun. All those things, they reflect. He says, I am creating those who reflect my attributes. They will do my job on earth. And I will unfold it further. All of us reflect God's attributes to a certain degree. We all have irada, willpower. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has irada. He has put inside us. We even have kun fayakun. Kun fayakun. Everyone has kun fayakun. Even the drunk, those who are high on pots, who are in nightclubs, even they have the power of kun fayakun. How? The power of imagination. Or even when you lift your finger, my irada, kun fayakun. I don't have to think. I want to lift my finger. Kun fayakun. Everyone has that sort of power. You can create in your imagination things, but you don't have the power to create them in the kharij, outside of your fantasy. But those he creates and gives them those powers, those people who reflect his attributes to the best level possible for a human being. They can even create things in the kharij with the power of their will, with their irada. He has created those as sort of mirrors who reflect his attributes and qualities. Mirrors, very clean mirrors, some small, some big, some very big, some very, very, very big. They're all prophets. Someone is a small mirror, someone is a bigger mirror, someone is a bigger mirror. They all reflect his attributes according to their own capacity. Their own capacity. Let's assume that on a bright sunny day, you take different mirrors of different sizes and put them outside. Each mirror will do what? Reflect the rays of sun and light according to its capacity. But if there is a mirror that is as big as the entire globe, then you wouldn't know whether it is the sun that is shining or is it the mirror that is shining. All the prophets are those smaller mirrors, and the final messenger is the mirror that is in the entire existence. Entire existence. And that's why he has that wilayah, that authority, that guardianship that no one has. Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa. And therefore, wherever is the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, over there is the wilayah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa. This is very important to understand. We haven't understood the maqam of the Holy Prophet. Ask the Urafa. They say we don't see anything in the existence other than the Holy Prophet. They say Allah nur samawati wal ard, that nur. It's the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that has filled the entire existence. So when they have that wilayah, no matter what plane of existence, they have that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exercises His authority through that wilayah. And that is the wilayah that the Holy Prophet transferred to Ali ibn Abi Talib with the idhn of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Holy Prophet does not have the right, because the wilayah is not his own. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wilayah. They reflect it. They reflect it only. They don't own it, because they can't exist without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can't even move a bit without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people say, some Shia theologians say, that the wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt is not in the ard of the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in the pool of the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll unfold these terms for you. Ard means parallel. If we say that the wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt is in parallel with the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is shirk. Now, Shia theologians traditionally, some of our scholars have been saying, no, it's not in the ard. That would be shirk. But it is in the pool, in line with it, not separate from it. So the relay. But when we pay attention, even that is shirk. Where does wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala start and where does it end? That from there onwards the Ahlul Bayt will take it. The wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unlimited. So what is their wilayah? Their wilayah is only a manifestation of His wilayah. Only a reflection of His wilayah. And manifestations and reflections are not independent. They are totally dependent on the source, and that's it. So some people say that wilayah of Ali, what is the limit of the wilayah of Ali? Some people ask these questions, and one poet, some Urdu poet said something interesting. He said that wherever you go, you will find Ali. You cannot escape Ali. Beautiful thing. But then he said something which I find quite superficial, to be honest. I don't know who's the poet. He said, if you want to escape Ali, go to Jahannam. You won't find Ali there. And it can be okay to do bah bah wah wah. But it is wrong. It is an insult to Ali ibn Abi Talib. You think that Jahannam, he does not have wilayah on Jahannam? Wherever in the entire existence, wherever there is wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His wilayah, the manifestation of His wilayah is through the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So I asked one Arif, Agha, They say everyone sees Ali ibn Abi Talib at the time of death. Every believer, every disbeliever. What does it mean? He said every believer sees Ali as a manifestation of the beauty of God. And every disbeliever sees Ali at the time of death as a manifestation of the wrath of God. Even in Jahannam you cannot escape Ali. Wrath of God. The problem with us is that our aqaid have been very superficial. We take our aqaid from poets. We take our aqaid from I don't know where. They haven't been unfolded for us. They haven't been explained in depth. That's why we become emotional. Oh, in Jahannam, Ali. Yes! Ali is not in Jahannam. The wilayah of Ali is still there. We have to understand these things. You cannot escape the wilayah of Ali. Wherever is the wilayah of Allah, over there is the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Please recite the salawat. And this wilayah has nothing to do with the Sharia. In case some people with disease in their hearts come up and say, oh, they believe Ali is the Prophet, is a Prophet after the Holy Prophet. No, we never said that. Ali never brought any Sharia. Ali never received any book. No, he inherits his ilm from the Holy Prophet. That's it, and there is no problem in that. There's absolutely no problem in that. And when we say man kuntu mawlahu fahada al mawla, and we say that here mawla means guardianship, we don't mean only political guardianship, and we don't mean only spiritual guardianship, because the Holy Prophet did not make any distinction. In absolute terms, any sort of wilayah, any sort of guardianship, any sort, whether it is political, whether it is spiritual, whether it is wasila towards God in the higher planes of existence, or it is the political guardianship and leadership in the lowest plane of existence, this world, it is that wilayah. And the problem is that Muslims cannot, although reject that Ghadeer happened, they can't. There are way too many narrations, way too many authentic chains of narrators, so no one can deny that Ghadeer happened. So what did they do? They changed its meaning. As simple as that. So Maulana means friend. As simple as that. While all the context tells us that here, Maulana definitely does not mean friend. And you all know that, but just quickly I'll refresh our memories. Maula can have many meanings. Maula can mean friend, Maula can mean master, Maula can mean slave. It depends what the context is, and we all know the context in Ghadeer. Such a special arrangement to announce that Ali is my friend and everybody who takes me as his friend should also take him as friend doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all, especially when the Holy Prophet before that asked all the companions, don't I have wilayah over you and your lives? And they all said yes. Awla is the word the Holy Prophet used. And they all said yes. And then he said, Man kuntu mawlahu fahada Ali al-mawla. In continuation of that, what does that mean? It means Ali also is awla on your nufus, on yourselves, just like me. He's not a prophet. He does not receive a book. He has wilayah. He is the protector and guardian of the Sharia. He is the guardian of the Sharia and the implementer of the Sharia. He is going to interpret the Quran. And the khutbah of Ghadeer, it is long and it is very beautiful and it is very powerful. We only hear this one phrase, but it is so powerful. The Holy Prophet said in that matan, in that khutbah and sermon, everyone who rejects his authority shall taste fire of hell. So explicit. He is the Imam. He is your leader. And then also mentioned other Imams and he and his children, and explicitly mentioned Hazrat Hujjat al-Qaim. Explicitly. Mawlahu Fahada Ali al-Mawla is much broader than only the Amir al-Mu'mineen. It means man kuntu mawlahu, fa Hasanun mawla, fa Husaynun mawla, fa Ali ibn Husayn mawla, and it continues until the Imam of our time. That's why our friends thought if we nip it in the very beginning, we'll get rid of all of them. If we accept the first one, then this wilayah will be transmitted one after the other, one after the other. So just nip it in the very beginning. And people say, okay, so why, well, when it was so important, why is the name of Ali not in the Quran? Why this wilayah is not in the Quran? So as I said, first of all, so clear hadith. They all were present there, and still they didn't accept Ali. They changed the meanings of Mawla. If it came in the Quran, and some Shia scholars say that perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not write it explicitly in the Quran, did not include it, that they would do what? Tahrif of Quran. They would remove those verses, or at least change the meanings of those verses. And some of you people say everything has to be in the Quran. No, it doesn't have to be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says in the Quran that I have descended it upon you, to the Holy Prophet, so that you do tabjeen of it, so that you explain it to people, so that you interpret it for people. Throughout his life, he was telling about the wilayah of the Amir al-Mu'mineen. Throughout his life. And all those ahadiths do exist in the sources of our brothers and sisters, but still, one has to be, with all due respect, one has to be incredibly naive or incredibly simple. I have to control myself. Incredibly simple to deny it, or incredibly wicked to deny it. And I give the benefit of the doubt to our brothers and sisters. They are incredibly naive and simple. They play into the hands of the incredibly wicked people who when say, over here it means friend, you check their body language. They are standing on thin ice. They know here it doesn't mean friend. It makes no sense, absolutely no sense. It doesn't. So we all know wilayah of the Amir al-Mu'mineen is wrapping up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exercises his authority through his slaves, the infallible slaves. First it was different prophets, then the final messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and after that it is the A'immah that the Holy Prophet announced by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we all believe that our Mawla is Amir al-Mu'mineen and all that. So what to do next? Okay. What next? Each year we celebrate it, we have understood it, and the wilayah and Mawla and so what? Living the same miserable lives, living the same lives, lacking confidence and determination, and aimless and goal-less lives, not knowing what we are doing, why we are doing it. Why do we celebrate all this? If this wilayah cannot change us, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? That's the question. This wilayah should inspire us. If you take the wilayah of Haydar al-Karrar, the one who could fight in the face of any adversity with dignity and integrity, then why do we have to live a life lacking integrity and dignity? Why? If Ali ibn Abi Talib, who after defeating the Khawarij did not start a witch hunt after defeating his enemies in Nahrawan, he did not start a witch hunt. Whoever was left, the Khawarij said, go, live freely, as long as you do not come in an organized shape and form to challenge me, challenge the wilayah. Keep living your own life with such a dignity, Such an integrity. If our Maulana could live like that, why can't we have a little bit of integrity to be kind to our own community members? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Book, "I'malu ala Dawood shukra." Very important verse. "I'malu ala Dawood shukra" says, ala Dawood, do shukr. I'malu, do something, work to do shukr for the blessings. Now we all know that the greatest blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the blessing of wilayah. So if we want to do shukr for this blessing, we have to do amal, i'malu. Very, very interesting verse. He didn't say talaffahu ala Dawood shukra, qulu ala Dawood shukra, just keep sitting and saying shukra, shukra. No, no, no. I'malu. And interestingly, in the languages of the subcontinent, shukr is always something to do. Shukr karo, shukr kar. In Farsi, shukr kun. It's always something to do. It's not something only to think. So how can we be thankful to God for this wilayah? How can we be? By amal. And I said, amal. Of course, salat, saum, hajj, zakat, khums, hijab, all these things are very important, and many of us do that. And it's very important to continue doing those things. But the shukr is to do those things by realizing and understanding the soul of worship. And the soul of worship is that wilayah, that love for Ali ibn Abi Talib that should keep, that fire should keep burning inside our hearts every day. Every day we need to think about this wilayah. Every day. And I tend to say, even in salah, think about Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Some people say, what is this? This Maulana is borderline of Ali. No, you haven't understood. You haven't understood it. You are always thinking about Muhammad wa ali Muhammad in prayers at least twice. Tasawwur wa tasdeeq. And if you are not thinking about them, your prayers are of low value. It means your brain is somewhere else. Your mind is somewhere else. In tashahhud, you have to say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So you have to do tasawwur, imagine of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, and then give affirmation, tasdeeq immediately. That's how it works. But if you're reciting your salah on autopilot and thinking about football matches and cricket matches and God forbid some girls or boys, I don't know, then your salah. Think about Muhammad wa ali Muhammad in salah. This is very important. He has said think about them. When you go on Hajj, you cannot let but think about Ali ibn Abi Talib. When I went for Hajj, each tawaf when I passed by Rukn Jamani, I couldn't think about anything but the Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. That is ibadah. That is worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to grow up and become mature. Mature. The tawheed of mature people is unshakable. Unshakable. It is unhurt. The pure tawheed is unshakable and unhurt by thinking about the Ahlul Bayt in prayers and so on. We need to do that. And having this love and doing amal, no matter how little amal, we need to do that. I was speaking to one of my teachers, and he's Iranian, and he said, this is his words, I was reading him today, he said, in my point of view, those people who live in non-Muslim countries, or European countries, or Western countries, and they love the Ahlul Bayt and practice their religion, their acts of worship are worth much more than the acts of worship of those people who live in Najaf, Karbala, Mashhad, and so on. And it makes sense. You should be very proud of yourself that you are here today. You should be very proud of yourself. This is a way of i'malu ala Dawood shukra. This way you have done something to express your gratitude for this wilayah.
नाराए तकबीर
अल्लाहु अकबर
नाराए रिसालत
या रसूल अल्लाह
नाराए हैदरी
या अली
हैदरी
या अली
बराए खुशनुदी मौला मुत्तकियान अली अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम बुलंद तर सलावत
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद या अली
MashaAllah. So keep doing what you are doing, not the other stuff. I mean this stuff. Keep doing what you are doing. Keep coming here and increase the acts of worship bit by bit. But the most important thing is, and I propagate it everywhere, the most important thing is aqeedah, not amal. Now, we have to do amal. We have to try our best. But the most important thing in the hereafter is aqeedah, basic beliefs. Little amal with proper aqeedah will be accepted and one will get salvation. But a lot of amal without proper aqeedah has no value. Because the first questions in that grave are about aqeedah. If you pass those questions, then we will talk about amal. But if you fail, then bighayri hisab. Then you have no chance. Just you're doomed forever. So never let any doubt about the wilayah seep into your hearts. Because my brothers and sisters, I've said this before here, probably, and I say it in other places as well. We pin our hopes on the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the wasilah of the Ahlul Bayt, who are a manifestation of the compassion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the grave, they will help you. They will help us. Do not go and bring your a'mal to Allah. I brought these a'mal. Give me salvation. Who can get salvation on the basis of a'mal alone? No one. Because our amal that are so broken, we need their help. And that wilayah will help us, inshallah.